This is ContactTalkRadio.com. Consciousness in action. And you are taking action into your consciousness by tuning into Contact Talk Radio.
And on TuneIn.com, Ping.fm, and Upsnap Mobile.
Contact Talk Radio.
Welcome to HR and Career with AldeenST. Aldeen is a passionate human resource professional and career coach on a mission to explore and find best practices in HR and career development. Join AldeenST and her guests to explore the complexities of human resources and career development. This is HR and Career with AldeenST.
Welcome to HR and Career with AldeenST. I am your host, AldeenST, and today I am joined by Lakrisha Davis. She's a career coach for job seekers and entrepreneurs and an author. Her book that she has out is Who Needs a Career Coach Anyway? I recommend you go out and get the book, and I'm sure after our conversation today talking about networking, you're going to probably see one of the top reasons why you need some assistance with a career coach. And then she's actually helping her clients navigate the corporate landscape. That's her specialty. So welcome to the show, Lakrisha.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Aldeen. I'm excited to be here.
Well, thank you so much. Well, I'll share with our audience right off the bat. Lakrisha and I networked to, build a relationship. Now we've got a little relationship going on. And today we're going to talk about the art of building strong relationships, networking for professionals. So I'm going to go right into it, Lakrisha. What are some of the key differences you think are between relationship building and networking?
Say that again. What's the question, please?
No worries. What are some of the key differences you found between relationship building and networking?
Yeah. Okay. Very good question, because I think there is absolutely a difference. So when I think about relationship building, I think about actually seeking that mutually beneficial situation where you both are getting to know about one another, each other's interests, how you could both be of benefit to one another in your careers. And it means that you're actually working towards the connection versus when I think about networking, I'm thinking about you attending some events and exchanging business cards, information, things like that. But you can do that all day long. But if the follow-up isn't there, then it doesn't lead to building that relationship.
That's right. And I really like how you break it down there, because for me, when I think of the two, I really think of kind of like a value versus experience type of scenario. And just like you said, the relationship building is really the value add, the mutual value that you both get from each other, how you cultivate that. I mean, a lot of relationships, they'll tell you it's not just, hey, how you doing? And in 2 days, you've built a really strong bond. It's more of, nurturing that connection that you can actually get value out of it. And then the networking, I feel it's more of the experience. So like you mentioned, it's an event or a number of events or a situation that presents itself that allows you to connect with other people, but it doesn't always mean you get value right away.
Absolutely. I think that 100% relationships are built over time.
Right. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
So
Absolutely.
Why is it
versus
so important?
It's an event.
That's right. And why do you think it's so important for professionals to network? Because today we're really focusing on how professionals can really improve their abilities, whether it's in career development or, whether it's in the entrepreneurship world, business world. Why is it so important for professionals to network?
It's very important for professionals to network in order to be able to obtain secure the opportunities that they're looking to target in their job searches, in their careers, and also to continue to progress in your career. I think that absolutely networking is important for you to be able to leverage other people in your industries, learn from them, learn about other opportunities that are in the field, have someone to introduce you to opportunities within their organization if you want to work there, or to other people in their networks that could be of value to your career as well. Also, lists could go on.
That's right.
But it's very important to network as an early professional, and understanding the value of continuing to network while you have a job, while you're not job searching as well.
Right. That's right. And I mean, we're getting up to that point too, but in my experience, I've seen networking too as an opportunity to collaborate or to, gain new experiences. You touched on that in one of your answers there. But it's so important for professionals to realize that networking is another version of learning. Out of that networking opportunity, I mean, I've heard people say, oh, I didn't even know a job like that existed. Or I've never seen that technology before. Or, I didn't realize these people were in my building till I saw them at a networking event. So it's very important for professionals to understand that they are a small part in a bigger, circle. So if they're able to tap into that through the networking aspect, I think it's gonna pay huge dividends for them. I mean, just to share collaboration and sharing of ideas, I think from the networking standpoint is really huge. So I'm going to dive right in now to we're going to share with our audience how we can actually build relationships through networking. Because a lot of people, they go to the networking events and they come back, or they don't go and they say, I didn't get any value out of it. I didn't really understand why I went. And even in my experience, I've gone to networking events, and at the end you go, I'm not really sure what I got out of it. So how can they really cultivate these relationships through networking?
Yeah, absolutely. So firstly, you have to understand that while it's important to get to know different people of different backgrounds and of different professions and things like that, I think it's also important that to understand if you're job searching or if you have a specific goal in your career, to understand who would be of value to you, so that you understand what type of events you need to be at, and also the type of professionals that you need to surround yourself with. Right. So I think that there's some opportunity there, just being at the right place. Right. So, but also I think that when you are in that setting, being strategic about making sure that you say hello or have some sort of conversation or eye contact with at least everyone that is within arm length of you. And I think that in that networking conversation, allowing them to do some of the talking, I think it's situational as far as who does the most talking or what have you. I think what's important is that you get the information that you need. They get the information that they need about you, so that you can understand if there is some type of synergy there.
That's right.
And then obviously you have to follow up after that, because you can have a great conversation, you can hit it off, but if you follow up, let's say 6 months later, rather than within 24 to 72 hours, then I think you increase your chances of a connection if you were to follow up within a quicker time frame. So following up, remembering something about the conversation, remembering something about that person, and making some type of mention of it when you follow up.
And I like that you mentioned the follow-up part, because that's just a critical piece that people forget about. I mean, it's great you've gone to this, lovely event, you've collected a ton of business cards, you've probably cracked a couple of jokes, and it really started to get what I call professionally personal. I mean, you can cross the line too at networking events, which we'll get into later down. But I like to say you want to be professionally personal. right? So once you've built that relationship, it's very important to do that follow-up. Because like you said, 6 months down the line, chances are I probably won't remember who you were, unless you left a real good impression. But if you were able to follow up within that 24 to 72 hours, chances are I'll remember who you were. I'll remember, what we chatted about, and be able to, like we're talking about today, start to build that relationship. One of the things I've seen too is candidates or professionals in general, just understanding that building relationships also involve managing or handling rejection and resistance. Because being in a setting where you're probably unfamiliar with everybody there, you're going to have some people who you start talking to and they're not as interested, or they may seem not as interested, or, they may be a little bit more resistant to sharing about themselves, where it becomes a mutually beneficial situation. So one of the most important things I remind my clients when I talk to them about networking and how they can leverage that in their job search or career development, I always say, don't take it personal if somebody doesn't interact with you or doesn't interact with you the way you thought they would have. Because a part of human experience is to experience the rejection and resistance as well. And sometimes just in managing or in dealing with that resistance and rejection, you're able to start building a relationship with that person just by how you've handled the situation. One of the key things I know a lot of my mentors have taught me, and I've seen it too, is being, authentic and consistent when you build those relationships too. So making sure that it is your authentic self. I know you brought out, sharing about yourself and understanding what they bring to the table as well, but also being very authentic and consistent. So you don't want to, let's say you've had a series of networking events. You don't want to be in a scenario where, you were at the first event sharing about this, and the next event it sounds like, you've taken a totally different path, done another different way. And they're trying to figure out if this is the same person I talked to, if they're on the same trajectory. So making sure that you're authentic and very consistent, I think, really helps with building relationships. For follow-up, what are some of your recommendations on the best ways to follow up after a networking event?
Yeah, so timeliness, following up within 24 to 72 hours.
That's right.
Then making sure that your note is not too long, but just enough content to still engage the person with something that took place at the event that you both, a moment that you two shared, or something that came up in the conversation, or something that you learned about the person in that conversation. Making sure that it's not, crossing the line as well. You still don't know this person.
That's right. So professionally personal.
Right. And you never know. I mean, you're at an event and you may have hit it off with this person. You've had a couple of, drinks or something like that, if that's there, but you never know. I mean, this person may not want to still have that, like you said, people cross the line or, what have you. So, make sure the tone is right and be professional about it. You're still getting to know this person. So not thinking that automatically this person is going to guarantee the connection is going to be there because you had one great encounter. So
that's so true. And that kind of with the managing the rejection and the resistance too, because I mean, that can come after. Like, I've experienced where at the event you have a really great connection. You think, you and the person have hit it off really well. You follow up a couple hours later, maybe the next day, or, maybe a week or two, or maybe even hit up again at another event. And they probably, the relationship doesn't continue. It's more of, that experience, in the moment type of scenario. So it's very important, for them to remember that. And I like those suggestions for sure. So we've been sharing a little bit of how we go about building those relationships. So I wanted to talk about some of the common mistakes professionals make when they're attempting to build those relationships through networking. So I know you've got quite a few experiences, Lakrisha. So why don't you share a couple of them that probably stand out for you?
Would you say virtually or in an in-person setting?
Well, I like both actually, because I've been to a couple of virtual networking events. They're different flavor, I'll say, for sure. But either. I'd love to hear the story.
Because I would have two different responses. So
okay. So let's start with virtually then.
Yes. So virtually, I think that when you are too soon, like when you move too quickly with going for the ask, then it's a bit off-putting. So
that's true.
In the first message, you're telling me about, your service or product or what have you. That's a different story. I think that's more so networking for business owners. But as far as job seekers are concerned, since we are focusing on HR and career, I think I like when people give me some insight about what's going on with their situation, some background about their situation, before they say, "Hey, Lakrisha, can you here's my resume. What's your email? Let me send to you so you can review it." I at least like for the person to, engage me a little bit first before feeling like just because I'm a career coach that, I'm obligated to just,
dish out some free advice maybe or
what have you.
That's right.
But I'm the type of person, if your approach is right, I'll probably do anything. I'll probably give you all the advice you want.
Yeah.
I'll probably respond to all your, your messages or, what have you. But when I feel like you don't value my time and what I have going on, then
that's right.
I don't feel like the connection will go far, which it's not, really good use of either our time. Now, in an in-person setting, I think when you are in that conversation, getting to know one another, I think that it's polite and it's also to both parties' benefit for each person to be able to speak about themselves. So not just being the person who is doing 80% of the talking.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I like what you mentioned with the virtual. I'll hit that one first because it's so common, and I've seen a lot of people post about it, and I've had colleagues talk about it. I call that probably the hard approach to networking. The very first LinkedIn message or the very first email or the very first text message is, here's what I need from you. Can you do it? They don't engage on your posts first. They don't try to find out a little bit about you. They don't try to, create a common ground before they go right in for the ask, right? And one of the things I've seen too in some of these virtual networking events is a little bit of oversharing too. So there's the undershare by just going in and asking me, just for the help or the advice or, just trying to engage me right away. But there's also the overshare, where you get, a message that's probably 30 pages long. And at the end of it, can you help me? Or, can you redirect me? So I think it's very important that they understand context specific. Yeah. I've also seen some, virtual events where not just the overshare, but people don't understand what to share. So I remember there was this Zoom networking event where you had a lot of ladies on Zoom, and you were given 60 seconds to talk about yourself, sharing about what you're looking for, what you'd be interested in. And you'd be surprised how many people, in that 60 seconds, you didn't even know that what their name was, because that wasn't even one of the first things they wanted to share with you, which I would think that would probably be the first thing you'd want to mention, seeing as you're online, your video is probably not showing. You've got an opportunity to say who you are. At least if they don't remember anything else that you've said, they can at least remember your name. Probably look you up on LinkedIn or something like that. So I think that the overshare and then not knowing what to share too in a virtual setting, is so important. Yeah. And then even in person, I mean, I kind of copy paste that over as well in there. But what I found I
think when you're doing 80% of the talking, you are probably oversharing.
Yes. Yes. I would say that. I would definitely say that because relationship building is really the mutual benefit, right?
It's a two-way street.
Exactly. So if I'm giving you more than you're able to give to me, you're either not going to want any more or, you're going to move on and say that you've got more than what you've given. But,
and as a career coach, and like I said, I get messages and stuff on LinkedIn, and I'm happy to respond to everybody. But like I said, I think when people come off like, oh, I am obligated, Lakrisha's obligated to give out that advice. I think that obviously me giving out advice, when I say it's a two-way street, what I would say that the type of fulfillment that I would want to get out of it is that you are going to take what I say to heart. It's going to be useful to you. It's going to be something that you really actually like implement. It's not just something else you've read. It's not just another, piece of advice you've taken in for the day or video So when I feel like when people are too quick with it, it's just collecting more information, or and it's just, it doesn't feel like, okay, this isn't going to do, probably isn't going to do much, but
that's true.
I'll move on.
That's true. And I like the fact that you said you want the feedback because it's one thing to give somebody, I'm going to say quote unquote free advice because most of the times when you connect with people in networking, they're giving you information. There's no money being exchanged, right? It's just the value, sharing, that's happening. So to me, based on what you said, in my opinion, I'd say I'd like to know if it works. Like, if I give you a piece of advice, the least I would expect, and I don't really have high expectations when you share in that environment. For me, it's adding the value, right? But, if you even came back and said, hey, by the way, that piece of advice, it worked for me, or it didn't work, or, I adapted it this way, even though you were asking me to help you, just to tell me that it worked or give me some kind of feedback, to me, I feel like I've gained from that relationship.
Yes.
Because
absolutely.
Now I've not only just shared with you a little nugget that you could help to advance you further, but now you've actually, contributed to the relationship as well to say, hey, by the way, it works. Or, here's what I did a little differently. Thank you for pointing me in the right direction. And I've seen in person too, one of the things I've seen a lot of professionals make the mistake with is to have unrealistic expectations. Because just similar to what you said, they think, okay, I've met Lakrisha, she's in person. Okay, I have 10 questions that I want to ask her. And all the questions are like 10-page answers that you'd have to sit down and consult with them. And, they don't realize that in a networking scenario, especially when you go to some of these networking events, you've got, sometimes hundreds of people in the room. Other times it's smaller, 10, 15, type of gathering. But sometimes you've got lots of people in the room, and a lot of people, their purpose is to go there and connect with people, to network, not to sit down and consult for the entire time that they're there. So I've found quite a few professionals, they have a little bit of an unrealistic expectation when they go to these events that they want to like latch on to one person and, kind of be there for the entire event. And for me,
you should not, by the way, you should never do that. I'm glad you mentioned that. You should switch it up a little bit while you're at these events. Don't latch on to 1 to 2 people.
Right.
There's plenty of people at that party that I'm sure you need to meet.
That's right.
So
that's right.
You can always continue the conversation later. That's what the follow-up is for. That's right. The relationship building is for. It's a thing that happens over time.
That's right.
So,
and I think that
your opportunities.
That's right.
Meet
that's right.
Awesome, amazing people.
And I think that's actually segues really nicely into the other point I wanted to bring up, which is really have a clear purpose when you go there. Like, when I talk to my clients or even friends of mine that we go to networking events and I say, what is your aim? What are you looking to get out of this event? And now they've started to do that with me too. Whenever we go to a networking event, they go, okay, what do you want to get out of it? And I think it's very important when you go to an event, like you're saying, you create a game plan, what do you want to get out of it? Do I want to talk to 5 people? Do I want to talk to 10 people? Do I want to find somebody in my field and have a great conversation that could lead up to building a relationship? what is it that you want to get out of it? And if you keep latching on to one or two people, you're going to create a little bit of a hostile environment at some point where they're probably going to start avoiding you. But you really want to zero down and figure out, okay, when I go to this event, what am I hoping to get out of it? And on the other side too, what am I hoping to give? So, for career development and job seekers, I say if you're going in to meet with the hiring manager or connect with people in the company that you want to work for, what are you giving them? What is it that you're asking them for advice, opinions, insights? What are you offering? What's going to be the other side of the table for them? And on the business side and on the HR side, I say, okay, when we go to these networking events, what kind of value are we adding to the different people that we'll interact with? And I think once you start getting into that value discussion and coming up with a purpose, I think now you start to network a little bit better, a little bit more effectively, and a little bit more purposefully.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So I know we touched a little bit on that by mentioning LinkedIn and those kinds of things. Two-pronged question for you.
Okay.
So one, how do we actually help job seekers, or what would be your recommendations of them incorporating networking into their job search strategy? And then what are some of your best tools that you would use to help with networking?
Okay. So
first, how do they work that into the strategy for job seekers?
Yes. So first, how they could work it into their strategies, a number of ways. So the first thing that you want to keep in mind is that LinkedIn could attract hiring. You could use your profile and the activity that you do on LinkedIn. You're increasing your visibility the more active you are. So making sure that you are commenting on posts, you are joining the conversation, you are bringing some type of value to the community, whether it is just simply sharing an article or something like that. That will start conversations amongst others, and that's something that segues into networking. But also it brings hiring managers and recruiters and things to your profile as well. So that's a way to allow LinkedIn to do some of the job searching for you while you sleep, which is making sure that you spend at least 15 to 20 minutes a day on LinkedIn. So just taking that time to commit to that, whether you have a commute, on the way to work, or some downtime, before you go to bed or what have you.
That's right.
So making sure you're doing that. And then also you could use LinkedIn to target people that could be beneficial to your search. So using the advanced search function, you could target people by school, by company, by job title.
Right.
You could search your first and second connections. You can see if you went to the same school as someone that works at the organization you want to work at. That could be that could start a conversation. So you could make a plan to reach out to a certain amount of people per week that could help you in your search. So my goal is one person a day. So reach out to strategically, reach out to one person that I, really could, benefit from a relationship with, and vice versa. And try to seek out a connection with them. So doing that to one person per day. And then another thing that you could do is, reach out to recruiters as well, network with recruiters. Tons of recruiters on LinkedIn. So you can set a goal to reach out to 3 recruiters a week or something like that.
Right.
Number of ways.
Right. One of the ones I wanted to add in there, I mean, I totally agree with incorporating that into your job search strategy. And a job search strategy is exactly that. It's what's your plan to land you your next role or to move you up. So I like the LinkedIn approach. I mean, LinkedIn, I remember when I just started using LinkedIn and I'd see all these people saying, through my LinkedIn connections, it landed me, jobs or interviews or, increased my network. And at first I thought, oh, okay, that's great. But how I do it. But to your point, once you start, setting some goals for yourself. Okay, I'm going to connect with 2 or 3 people, going to have a conversation. And I've actually seen that work for me, and I've seen that work for my clients too and colleagues. So, that really, really does. If anybody's, questioning if LinkedIn does work, my thing or what I'd say to you is try it for a week. Mm-hmm. Try it for a week and see what happens. Try it for a week. And I know one of my favorite career coaches on LinkedIn, his go-to is, grab a coffee with someone, do some kind of a meeting. I like to tell people virtual coffees work too. If you're not in the same area, like I've got people who are, moving to a new city and they're job searching, I go do a virtual coffee with the person, set up a virtual meeting, and that's a good way, one, to introduce yourself, build some relationships before you get there. And also, advance your job search mission, right? And leveraging associations too that may be, in and around your areas of interest or in your area that may be popular. I know LinkedIn Local is a huge one. There's even associations for whatever your job area is. So if you're in human resources, you're looking into HR associations. If you're probably in project management, you're doing the same for that too. So, really using different media through networking to help you. And the last thing I want to touch on before we go for our first break, Lakrisha, if you could give us 2 or 3 tips of how to truly master networking, what would you say those would be?
I would say first, know how to sell yourself without selling when it's appropriate.
I like that one.
Yeah.
I like that one.
Yeah.
I like that one.
And then I would say my second one would be, I say this one because I don't think that people just think, well, okay, I'm networking, so I'm doing the work that I need to do. But I don't think everyone thinks about the strategy, like their strategy, like we talked about, how many people you want to meet, what kind of people you want to meet, what kind of events you should truly
be going
to, things like that. So I think having a strategy plan with networking, and then also knowing how to sell without selling, honing in on that. And I think that would be, you'll be in good shape with that.
Perfect. The one I want to add in here is do more of it.
Do more of it.
Do more of it.
Do it in the first place.
Do it. Just do it.
Do it in the first place.
That's right. That's right. Because I've had scenarios where people go, I've never been to a networking event before. I'm like, just go to one. Go into your Meetup app, or go on LinkedIn, or call one of your colleagues and say, hey, by the way, do you know of any networking events? One of the best ways to get over something, and I could tell you, I've done that to myself a couple of times, where you know what, you want to do better, do more of it.
You just gotta make time for it.
Yes, just do it. Just
So I have a buddy. We're both entrepreneurs, and we have made it a goal to attend at least 1 to 2 events per week, and we're holding each other accountable for that.
That's right. And there's another one too. Get an accountability buddy. So what we do is on Sundays
or whatever day of the week, usually Sundays, we scroll through different events on Facebook, Eventbrite. We look at our timelines on LinkedIn, if they call a timeline there. And we find events. We RSVP for them. We pay for them. If that's what we have to do, we put them on our calendars, and we know that it's set in stone for us to do that. That's right. I have that goal too. Not quite 2 a week though. But that's right. Set a goal and just do it. Just do it. Whether you go by yourself or you go with somebody, but just do it. And I like the idea of an accountability buddy, because now, that's a part of your job strategy too, because now you're having somebody hold you accountable to be accountable to yourself. So on that note, we're going to take our first break. We'll be right back.
Are you stuck in a job you don't like and can't get out? Are you returning to the workforce and feeling scared, unprepared, and lost? Are you struggling with your job search? You are not alone. Many people work with a coach to use proven strategies to help them take charge and navigate their job search and career development. Learn more at AldeenST.com or email AldeenST@gmail.com to set up your first discovery session.
See the difference an HR business partner can make in your business. Let us show you how a strong, strategic, and aligned human resource strategy can help you reduce costs, improve productivity, and help you retain your competitive advantage. Make your human resources strategy part of your business strategy to drive real business results. Let us show you how at AldeenST.com or at AldeenST@gmail.com. Aldeen Simmonds Thorpe Consulting, transforming your business with the power of people.
Boost your job search with a masterclass. Learn how to optimize your efforts, use multiple strategies, and get hired faster through our Job Seeker Masterclasses. Learn how to craft an outstanding resume, network yourself into a job, and interview like a pro. Join a class today at AldeenST.com. Optimize your job search and get hired faster.
Welcome back to HR and Career with AldeenST. I'm your host, AldeenST, and today I am joined by Lakrisha Davis, career coach for job seekers and entrepreneurs and author of Who Needs a Career Coach Anyway? Lakrisha and I have been having a really great conversation so far, talking about building strong relationships, the art of really building strong relationships, and it really is today targeted at networking for professionals. So one of my favorite parts of the show, Truth or Myth, I want to jump into that right now, and I'm going to challenge Lakrisha on some truth or myths that exist around networking and building relationships. So for the first one, Lakrisha, truth or myth? I need to connect with everyone or as many people as possible at a networking event to be successful.
Myth.
Yeah. Why do you think so?
It's a myth because, in all honesty, you could make one good connection and, that be enough. Or I think if you're talking with, if you've made a connection with every single person in the room, you probably really didn't actually make a connection. You probably just collected
business cards,
contacts.
That's right.
And I think being strategic about it, maybe setting a goal to three to five or something like that. But anything other than that is, I can't even say that. That was generalizing, but no, I think it's definitely a myth.
Well, I definitely want to agree with you on the myth there. I think like we've been talking about, having a strategy and a purpose when you go out to network, I think is one of the most important things or rules of networking and even building relationships too. Number two, truth or myth? Always take a business card or resume to a networking event.
True.
For
business card, for business card.
Not the resume.
And,
I like to make them tough.
Let me think. One second. Let me just go with my first mind and say, okay, I'm going to play, there's, the answer is twofold. Depends on the event. So if you are going to just a social networking event or something like that, it's like a business networking event, you're meeting other professionals, something like that, then definitely you want to have a business card if you have one for your business or if you have one for your company or something like that. I don't think that people as job seekers, if you don't have I don't think you need to make a business card that says like job seeker, what have you.
That's right.
You can always scan LinkedIn profiles or something like that at the networking event. If you are at a hiring event, absolutely you need to bring resumes.
That's right. And I want to agree with you there. At first, I was going to say definitely truth, because I always believe in being prepared. So I would rather have it on me, not need it, than need it and not have it on me. So I'll walk the middle of the road with you in agreeing, but on my side, I think it's truth, because one of the things I've noticed at networking events is if you don't have a business card and somebody asks you for one, now you're put in kind of a little bit of a spot. Or, you know, sometimes you struck up a really great conversation and they go, oh, do you have your resume on you? So it doesn't have to be physical though. I always recommend people keep a copy of your resume in your draft, in your email, so you can just flip that off to somebody if they ask for a resume. You know, right away you've got their email information. You can shoot that over and you kind of, you know, create a little bit of a connection with them. So afterwards you have something to follow up. All right. Sounds good. So next one, relationships are a byproduct of meeting people. Truth or myth?
Relationships are a byproduct of meeting people.
That's right.
I would say true.
Yeah. Why?
Of meeting people, like physically, like
correct. I
would say,
or even virtually, meeting in general.
Yeah, I would say if you're saying that it has to be something like you had to have met for coffee already or something like that, then I would say that is a myth. But because you can absolutely build relationships just by being pen pals on LinkedIn or something like that.
Right.
And then the conversation that, you know, should come at some point, you know, obviously, but, does that answer the question?
Are you on the truth side or on the myth side of this one?
Okay. All right. So I would say that it is, truth.
Okay. And I would tend to agree with you, because even though relationships are cultivated, they can actually, sometimes you cultivate a relationship without even realize you're cultivating one.
Right.
Right. So I definitely see that as true. Okay. Here we go again. You have to wait for an offer to help before you engage someone. Truth or myth?
No, that's a myth. That's false.
Okay. Networking is more casual. You should not be looking to build relationships.
I think that's a myth.
That's a myth?
Yeah.
I tend to agree with you there too. I think networking, while it may come in a casual form, or you may have more of a casual event, I think, to your point, your purpose for being there, I think, should ultimately be, you know, creating or cultivating a relationship of some kind. Whether it's, you know, as a colleague, you're looking for resources, you're looking for, you know, advancing your career, or even your own personal interests or your own business interests. But at some point, there should be some kind of an objective to build a relationship with somebody. Otherwise,
there's nothing wrong with if you're not ill-intended. I don't think that there's anything wrong with you having a goal and knowing the right type of people that could help you and wanting to be in their energy and wanting to learn with them and connect with them.
That's right.
And I think it's a good thing for that person. And I think that today, so many people try to make it seem like a bad thing. Oh, I don't ever try to I'd never network to get something out of people, when at the end of the day, I mean, we all know that, okay, this person would be good to help me with that or what have you. So it's nothing wrong with it.
Perfect. And I definitely agree with that too, which leads me to the next one. I am already established in my career. I don't need to network. Truth or myth?
Myth.
Yeah. I definitely agree with that. It's definitely
a myth because there's so many people that have reached high levels in their careers. I mean, doing some amazing things.
That's right.
Level. And something happened within the organization unexpectedly, and they're on the job market, and now they realize, I don't have a single contact out to. I've done all this work, 20 something years building my career, being amazing in doing this, but now I don't have a person to send my resume to make an introduction for me, or talk to me about companies or vouch for me.
And I, to your point, I find a lot more of the seasoned professionals, I'd say, people who you'd probably say have a lot more job security and less need, or in their minds at least, of a network. They see it more of a job seeker type of tool, or medium, as opposed to, the fact that networking opens you up to so much more than just, a career or an opportunity to get into a new job or a new company. I mean, we've talked a little bit about that in our previous discussion about how you can really learn and collaborate and explore different things through your network. So really understanding that, whether you're established in your career, you're new in your career, or you probably don't want a career anymore, it's still important to network. Definitely agree with you there. One of them that I've always gotten from younger demographics, I'm going to say the best time to network is right after college or university. Truth or myth?
Myth.
Yeah. Why would you say so? For all my college and university listeners.
You should network while you're in college. You should network
right.
with your professors.
Uh-huh.
You should network with your other people that are in your program.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
You are your brand.
That's
so
right.
when you're working in groups, don't try not to lash out on anybody, okay?
That's right. That's right. And recently I saw somebody posting on LinkedIn saying they were networking right out of high school, and even first year of college. And I commend you, because you see the value of connecting with people early out in your career and understanding what the market is like before you get there, 3, 4, up to maybe even 10 years later, and you're trying to figure out networking at that point. So I always tell people it's never too early to network. Never too early. And your network starts with your family, your friends, your colleagues. I mean, anybody can be a part of your network, and they can also expand your network, by introducing you to other people that they know. So I always say it's never too early to network at all. All right. Another one for you. My connections never get back to me, so I should stop networking. Truth or myth?
Myth.
Myth.
Maybe you should stop networking with them, or not in general.
That's right. That's right. And I think that goes back to the rejection and resistance, right? You have to recognize that people are people. And even though you may have the best of intentions, when you're networking, you're never going to get 100% acceptance, and hopefully not 100% rejection either. But
right.
So you have to build in, some amount of resilience and some amount of, I guess, reality as well, that while you may have the best intentions to connect with a particular person, just because they're not interested to, connect with you or to continue the discussion in the way you want to, doesn't mean that, you've wasted your time, or you can't, or they can't connect with somebody else who may be more in line with what you may be looking for.
Right.
And then the last one I have for you, networking rarely leads to jobs. Truth or myth?
Myth.
For sure. And I know you probably have, a story that you want to share about networking leading to jobs.
A story that I want to share about.
Or an experience. An experience, rather.
An experience. Yeah, so a personal one, or just from one of my clients, or?
I'm going to let you choose on this one.
Okay. Yeah, so I would say, perfect example. So I have a client.
Uh-huh.
She did not have any experience in this new field that she just recently transitioned into.
Uh-huh.
So she had a ton of, experiences and accomplishments in another field, but she wanted to do something completely different. So she didn't have much on the job experience, some transferable skills, and she did pursue some certifications.
Okay.
But she had a salary demand that did not align with somebody who is just saying that I want to do something new, right? She's saying, right. I don't want to make less than such and such. I want to get paid like somebody who's been doing this. So I'm like, oh boy. So we're working together, and we end up finding out that the person that she would be not reporting to, I think it was one of someone on the senior management team. Right. Let's put it that way. Went to the same college as she. Nice. And he had no involvement in this role, actually. Yeah, so he was just he was senior management, but he actually wasn't hiring for this position, not interviewing for it, didn't have much, oversight over it. It wasn't his thing that he was worried about. But we contacted him and hit it off with him and made mention about, having this interest, and had the, actually was a big advocate for actually had the hiring manager reach out right away to have a conversation, with her, and then actually had an interview with the actual hiring manager in person, and ended up making it all the way through the process. But none of that would not have happened, I don't believe, if we would not have made that connection, and if we didn't reach out to him, and they, she handled the conversation really well between the two of them.
Right.
For him to even go take it a step further and say, hey, I want to help you.
That's right. And I think for all our listeners, I think if there's anything you take away from this conversation that we've been having, is that networking gets you places, and relationships, coming out of networking really helps you get, further places. Because just from your example there, the fact that, I'm going to say they were networked in a sense, being from the same school, but then being able to cultivate that relationship really moved her beyond just, being connected with somebody to being able to, advance to that point where she could actually have a conversation now with the hiring manager. So really great example. And on that note, we're going to take our last break. We'll be right back.
Get out. Are you returning to the workforce and feeling scared, unprepared, and lost? Are you struggling with your job search? You are not alone. Many people work the coach to use proven strategies to help them take charge and navigate their job search and career development. Learn more at AldeenST.com or email AldeenST@gmail.com to set up your first discovery session.
Welcome back to HR and Career with AldeenST. I am your host, AldeenST. Today, I am joined by Lakrisha Davis, career coach for job seekers and entrepreneurs, and author of Who Needs a Career Coach Anyway? Today, we've been having a really great discussion of how building strong relationships can really come out of networking, and how professionals can really do networking and building relationships right. So as we wrap up today's episode, I'm going to ask Lakrisha for a gem of wisdom. What is your best advice to professionals right now who are listening to us, and they probably got a lot from what we've been saying. What would you say is your best advice to professionals right now who are networking?
I would say that my best advice is for you to understand the value of it, and to see what networking is doing for so many different job seekers in their job searches, professionals that are moving up in their careers, people that are obtaining position without filling out a single application.
That's right.
That understanding that something like that could happen to you. And if you just, do if you, start networking. So there's always ways to make time for it. There's no excuse.
That's
I think
right.
that whether you are doing it if you don't have time to do it in person, there's always some light ways that you can do it on LinkedIn that only takes 15, 20 minutes of your time per day.
That's
so understanding that, because you may start really enjoying it and really start reaping the benefits of it and just become obsessed with networking.
That's right.
So you just have to start.
Yes.
Just do it.
Just do it.
But in order to do it, you have to understand that it does work, because I actually had a friend of mine, wasn't a client. I know we're getting ready to go. I had a friend of mine who just actually laughed at me when I talked about people getting jobs without, through networking, and was like, oh, what kind of job is that? Is it, some type of low-level job or something like that? I'm like, no, the best jobs, usually some of the best opportunities.
That's right.
So people don't believe it.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Lakrisha. And thank you for joining me for another episode of HR and Career with AldeenST. Join us again as we dive into the many facets of HR and career development, providing you with useful and practical tips to move you forward. See you next time.